Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Sid, and welcome to my series, Degree Review, where I interview a fellow recent grad on their degree, what they learned in it, how to prepare them for their career, and all that fun stuff. On this episode, I have my friend John. How are you, John?
Pretty good. How about you, Sid?
I'm great. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks,
John
man.
majored in political science and economics, and we're going to interview him about that degree. So, first question, why did you choose your majors?
So, political science is the one I kind of went into college, or my freshman year, knowing I wanted to do. I always had an interest in government and politics, throughout high school, and I also wanted to get into a field where you could help out people. So, going into it felt like a pretty natural fit. I also worked on a congressional campaign right before college started too. So, I kind of said, that's okay. This is something I want to get into. The economics that came later, because I was taking an introduction to macroeconomics course to fulfill some core requirements. And then the professor, since it was during COVID, he required everyone to meet with him once through the semester. So it was my spring of my freshman year. And, he talked to me about his career and stuff. He worked for the Federal Reserve, and he said that he thought having an economics double major would be very beneficial for me because it would definitely make you stand out amongst people, whether you went to law school or wanted a career in policy. So I wound up taking up that, really fell in love with economics and intro to microeconomics. I really loved that course, loved that professor. And then I'd say from now at this point, I kind of like economics a little bit better than political science. So really happy about the two majors.
Cool. All right, well, speaking of classes and professors you loved, who were some of your favorite professors and some of your favorite classes you took?
Sure, so for political science, I'd say I'll narrow it down to one professor in one class. I really like Jolio Carney-Waterton. He taught public policy formulation. And now some people, he's definitely the toughest political science professor. He'll the first paper he assigned to all of us was an individual assignment. Normally it's pretty easy to do fairly well on a political science essay, and I got the grade back. I'm like, wow, this is really low. But the thing was, he raised the standard very high. And the whole class, basically, after that individual assignment, that first assignment, it was you had to be put into a group, and you had to work with that group to make a policy brief, which is basically what you'd be doing in your normal job anyway. And I really think he made me better as a writer. He was a really great guy too, because it was definitely a tough semester for me personally, and he was very supportive. And he's just hilarious too. I think I thought that was overall it was a really important class for my development. Then for economics, I'll shout out too. So Professor Holman, he taught me Introduction to Microeconomics. He also taught me International Relations or International Economics later. But it was that Intro to Micro class that I really fell in love with. I really fell in love with economics there. He's really such a great guy, so full of knowledge. And again, he's one of those guys who's really tough. He doesn't want you on your computers. He makes you handwrite your notes.
Oh, wow.
But I felt that really made that connection. I felt like you're so much more engaged. A really great guy. And then the final one I'll shout out to is Professor Jennifer Hunt. She taught me intermediate microeconomics, and she was my capstone advisor for my senior year thesis. And she was really great. She's very knowledgeable, probably one of the smartest people I know. She worked for the Obama administration too. She was assistant secretary in the Treasury. Then she also was the chief economist in the Department of Labor. So very smart. Really, she's helped me so much, develop my skills. And I really recommend if you could take her at some point, you could go ahead, do it.
Nice. Well, speaking of development and recommendations and stuff like that, what's some advice you would give to a freshman who wants to major in either poli-sci or economics?
So political science, I think it's an important thing. Go into those classes. For intellectually, I think it's really good going in with open perspectives, because a lot of these are discussion based. People are going to say a lot of different things. I'm sure they're different opinions. And my thing is, listen to those opinions, but also, listen to your professors too, but also use that to formulate your own opinions. You don't have to, just because someone's saying something doesn't necessarily mean that has to become your thing, Because everyone's to be saying something different. But I think it's really something that really opens up your perspectives, political science. And professionally for that too, I really recommend you have to have your internships down. I think that's really important. Early on, get into campaigns, local nonprofits, stuff like that. Get into that early, so then by the time you go into your when you're starting your junior year, then what you do is you apply to Eagleton Institute of Politics. That's a 3-year certificate program that you can do at the end. It's for top political science or other people who are in government. That's for like juniors, their spring semester and then their senior year. 3 classes, it's really great. And then it really opens up all those connections for you. And then they help you so much with getting internships in the future and stuff. And they're even helping you with jobs and stuff. It's really a great program if you get into it. Economics, my thing with that is 100%, if you can, do a capstone because it's going to teach you how to write a research paper. You get to work with faculty. And you get to learn like all the software that you would need to know to be a good professional economist, but they won't teach you in a lot of other classes. But it's like I think that really develops you a lot if you do that.
All right, cool. And number 4, we have our wild card question. This is the question I didn't, this is the surprise question, the fun question.
Sure.
All right, so as an econ major, what's one misconception people have about how the economy works that you wish people would just like understand, or that like really ruffles your feathers?
I think people overstate how much control the president has over the economy. They always say, oh, the president's great when the economy's doing good, and then when it's bad, they blame the president. I'm like, it really isn't the case. The president, so what they do is they enact policies. It's called fiscal policy, and basically adds money to the economy. So when you do that, then basically that could lead to economic growth, but also inflation, and that depends on a bunch of different factors. But I won't get into that here. But basically, by the time that happens, right, they'll enact this. So the bipartisan infrastructure law, they implemented that like 2 years ago, right? That passes through Congress. But then but now the money's still rolling out, and it's like, that's the thing. It's like, so like by the time like whatever happens, whoever the next president is, the effects of that are going to be felt on the next presidency more than it will be now. So that's the interesting thing. What people should really be looking at in terms of why the economy is doing poorly or well, it's a lot of supply. So like especially things like oil too, and also the Federal Reserve. They're going to be changing interest rates, and that's going to have to do a lot with inflation. So, and also another point on inflation too. People complain about how bad inflation is here in America. Well, actually, of all the other G7 countries, so those are usually the countries that industrialized the earliest, usually the top performing economies. America has the best inflation. Like we're the best performing of like economies similar to ours. So I don't know, there's just a lot of misinformation when thinking about the economy. So I really recommend doing your research and not just listening to Fox or CNN when you start thinking about economic policy.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next question. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well would you say your degree has fulfilled your intellectual curiosity?
Yeah, I'd say combine those two, I'd say it was a pretty strong. I'd give it close to a 10. I'd say. I mean,
like a 9.7.
Sure, why not? I just feel like, I feel like they're especially for what I'm going into, which was policy. Like knowing those two different aspects, the politics aspect more, and I did a lot of foreign relations classes too with international relations with political science too. And then I learned a lot about the economy too. So I just feel like whatever policy question you ask me about, I feel like I will be able to learn about it and be able to form good opinions because I just developed the skills to, be able to educate myself and, make reasonable conclusions.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good segue to like the more career-oriented questions. So first question, what are your career goals, short and long term?
So I'd say short term, I want to get into something where I really get thrown into the fire, and I want it to be something adjacent to politics. So that's like the 5-year plan, like whether it's consulting, state government, like Congress, politics, something like that. Just really work hard for a few years. And long term, eventually I'd like to go into an agency. I'd like to get a grad degree in economics, work for an agency potentially, or even, maybe pursue other portions of government. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what job and internship experience have you gotten so far, like during your degree? And
So I've worked on 2 electoral campaigns early on. Then after my sophomore year, I had an internship with the Federal Railroad Administration with the Department of Transportation, I worked with the economist there. And then after this past year, I worked in the Office of Civil Rights in the Department of Transportation, and I did economics work there too. And I got to meet Pete Buttigieg several times, which was really cool. And then I guess does the capstone count towards experience? I guess. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was basically I did that all my senior year. It was basically research. I did research on affirmative action. So that was really great too. That experience.
Nice. All right. Well, final question. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well would you say that your degree has prepared you for your career?
Yeah, I'd say I feel like I'm pretty comfortable. I think again, I think if you didn't it all depends on choices. I think I made good choices, whether it's going to Eagleton Institute of Politics, and I always had the privilege of getting in. So I felt like that set me up with connections, and then doing my capstone for economics that helped me learn a lot of important software and research techniques. So I felt like I'm pretty good, well prepared when I go into my career. But if you do either of those majors, just know that, hey, if you're not working hard, you're not making sure you get those opportunities, you might not get a lot out of them. So it's really, I think the big thing is what you make out of it, you have to work hard, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that'll be all for this episode of Degree Review. Hope you enjoyed, hope you found it informative. Thank you so much to John for appearing. John, you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to spread to the people?
I guess not. Just be good.
Be good people?
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like, comment any questions you might have about political science or economics. John you can comment and respond to those.
Sure.
And other than that, hope you have a great day. Peace.